Hey, love. Welcome home to Eden in the middle of the night. This is Eve Christoph, your Love Life Muse. Stick with me for the hottest news and subscribe to this channel to get somewhere new. So I just came from salsa dancing at the Iron Horse, which happens every Tuesday here in Northampton, and it is so freaking hot. And I had this ecstatic experience that I wanted to share with you because last week when I went, I was in that kind of space of like, oh, I wish I had more friends here, and I want to really dance, and I can't get my exercise if I don't have enough people to dance with. So I danced some, and I asked people to dance, and I was kind of bored, and then I just did a lot of watching, and then I started getting blissed out on watching, and I decided to do my manifestation while I was watching of imagining, dancing like crazy with friends who really, really love dancing with me. And then I went dancing tonight. I had this wild thing happen where the manifestation from last week just I don't know what would happen, but everyone just started grabbing me to dance with me and pulling me out to the floor and like dancing with me 2-3 dances in a row, and all these the best dancers, the ones who were the most challenging, most exciting for me, just had to have me. And I was basically almost unable to keep going because I'm not in that good a shape yet. But last week's manifestation was all about how I was in peak shape, I even went to sleep watching Zouk dancing, imagining doing the triple spins and everything. And it's so interesting, when you spend time envisioning what you want instead of just worrying and being upset with what you don't want, the universe can really take off. But it's usually a time delay between when you have your deep desire and when it manifests, So, oh my God, this was so exciting tonight. And then this other thing started to happen. I started to smell these smells, like those divine perfumes. It started on my way up to the salsa dance where I thought I smelled it on these people. I was like, what is that incredible smell? They're like, we don't smell anything. I was like, I smell a divine perfume. Don't you smell it? And then when I got into the dance, the same smell was all around me and those people were gone. And then I started to smell more smells like coconut, and maybe it was that my own smell sense had opened up to everybody's cologne, but it was like being given this gift from heaven. And I remember this shaman in Mexico who I used to get treatments from him, and there was this extraordinary smell that came off his feathers, and I asked him about it. He said, well, that was one of the gifts of the gods to me. They said not only would I have this gift of healing, but my healing gift would come with this heavenly scent. Oh my goodness. So that's what it felt like was happening, like this heavenly scents. Many of them were being opened up around me or inside me or something, and then there was another extraordinary thing too. So I was sensing these smells that were so heavenly, and then as I was dancing, like my heart was opening up to each person, and I was getting aware of the fact that when guys really dance with all their heart and all their passion, they make the woman move in a whole different way. And the guys who are really focused on how they're making the woman move more than on how they are moving, they can get the women to dance in really erotic and kinky ways right there in public. And so that was so exciting because I was like, oh my gosh, the dancer in me wants to match these guys. They're giving me their all, and I started like realizing each person is so special, and their dance is so different and unique from each other, and I started thinking about you, and I started thinking about that this story that we're in, this magical realm where we open or we don't, I started to think about beauty and how a lot of times we stop ourselves from having the ecstatic experience that we want because what happens? We think that we're not beautiful enough. We think that that's, oh, those special people who have like a certain level of hotness are going to get all the women or all the guys, you know. And I started realizing that the way the men were responding to me tonight was as if I was like super beautiful, whereas last week it was like ho hum. But I had done all this invocation to this goddess Lalita this week, you know, saying, and also about accepting, well, prayers to her about beauty, like show me, allow me to have your beauty, goddess, you know, allow me to be part of it. And one of the first things she showed me after I did these offerings to her, I actually went to the ocean and did offerings to her, and then I went to the earth and I poured milk into the earth and offered flowers into the earth and flowers and fruit onto the ocean waves, and just like invoking her, you know. And one of the first things she said was to me is like, love the body you have and do the most you can with what you've got. Like get in better shape, like eat better, you know. But then it was like I realized that, you know, our bodies, we go through these days where sometimes we feel so ugly. I don't know if you do, I do. And sometimes we feel so beautiful. And it's almost random. It's almost like, how come yesterday I was like bloated and like you know, slack jawed and slumping around, and then today I feel like a goddess. And I realize, you know, our beauty is not our own, really, and neither, you know, our beauty, it comes from the gods. It comes from the goddess, and when we really just realize that it's a gift, you know, just to be alive. It's a gift. This the gifts we have, the beauty, the intelligence, all these things, that they're gifts from the gods. Like we don't know where they come from, or how it is we suddenly have these brilliant thoughts or inspirations. But there was a great yogi, I used to study about him, Krishna, Christian. This yogi is a wonderful story. So he actually lived to be 147 years old, and he in his lifetime, as a young man, his dad said to him, "My dear son, you're going to be the last one in our lineage. When you die, there will be none of us left. But you are going to be the one who finds enlightenment. And so I'm sending you into the forest to meditate. But here, under this tree, I'm burying the family jewels. This is enough fortune, enough diamonds and rubies, etc., that you will be able to travel for the rest of your life and live with this treasure when you're done meditating." So I'll call him Krishna. I don't remember what his full name was, but Krishna goes into the forest to meditate, and he gets into such a deep meditation that he meditates for 40 years. And 40 years later, he's reached this place where all the animals in the forest just sleep with him at night. He's got a tiger that follows him everywhere, that is just totally in love with him. This is a true story, actually. And he finally unburies the jewels, and he follows, and when he gets home to his town, all the people, everyone's gone. His father's gone, his mother's gone, his sisters. It's true, he's the last one left, and there's no one left but him. So with the jewels, he travels for the rest of his life in this enlightened state, and he becomes the counselor to the Queen of, I think it's Queen of England, for 16 years. When she meets him, she's just so enthralled with who he is that she's just like, be with me, please, be my counselor. So this is a long time ago. So he does that, and then he keeps traveling, and for many, many years, he looks like a young man. There's pictures of him. He looks like, even when he's 100, he looks like he's 40 years old, you know. But at one point, he has this moment of vanity, he said, after all these years of enlightenment, where he's totally like, you know, in this divine state of consciousness. and peace and power and oneness with the universe. And at a certain point he goes, wow, I'm really something. I'm really amazing. He's sitting and meditating. And he's like, but I am so amazing. I'm 100 years old. I look like I'm 40. I'm blissed out all the time. And as soon as he has a thought, I'm so amazing. And it's not that he wasn't so amazing, of course he really was, but as soon as he has this thought, it's like he separated himself from God in that moment to think he was the one making himself amazing. And a lightning bolt comes out of the sky, kabam, and it turns him gray. Turns all of his hair gray. So believe this or not, but I know a woman, another woman who went on her sacred rite of passage in Mexico, and this story is amazing too. When she went, I met the woman, I heard the story, and I was like, I have to go meet that shaman, because she went and had her rite of passage with this shaman, where she too was on a mountain having her rite of passage, and her time in nature to be shown who she was and what her life was about. And what happens is she sits there for 3 days with nothing happening, and eventually, though, there's a little cloud out on the horizon, and she's just like, whoa, that cloud is a little puffy little Charlie Brown cloud. What's it doing out there? And it's a dark cloud, and it comes right over her and unleashes this torrent of rain, just right over her and her little sacred circle, and bam, lightning bolt, bam, hits her too. And this time she says what happens to her is she left her body and goes to a realm where she was learning from wise beings for a whole year. Is that she remembers the year, but when she comes back in her body, it's only been like a minute or something, 3 minutes. So these mystical things, these gifts of the gods. So this woman, she thought when she went on her rite of passage, she would become like this awesome healer shaman woman. But what happened was she comes out of her rite of passage, and the shamans and everyone says, okay, so your life path was a businesswoman before you went on your rite of passage, but now you're going back to the business world, only now you're going to be the counselor to the richest people in the world who are all so fucked up, and you're going to be their counselor. And sure enough, she becomes the therapist and counselor to all of these CEOs of the world. That was what the gods wanted her to do. So this thing about our gifts coming from the gods, our beauty coming from the gods, when we open to that, when we invoke that, and how it's not really our own, none of it is our own, and yet it is, because we're one with it. We're one with those gods that give us those gifts. Isn't this a beautiful set of realizations and feelings? I mean, and it all came from dancing for me tonight. Dancing in ecstasy, and that place of like, and people were grabbing me to dance, running. I had this fantasy that this would happen, and it did, where men would run across the room to grab me. They'd be so happy to see me, and then just like pull me out to the dance floor and dance like crazy. It just happened so many times. And one night I started to have a panic attack because my heart was going so fast, and I'm so out of shape. I was like, how am I going to keep up with my fantasy? Oh my God, it was so scary. So I left after at 11:30. The dance usually goes till 2. And after an hour and a half of that, I couldn't keep up with my own freaking fantasy anymore. So love, go ahead, fantasize what you want. Try to keep up with your own dreams, and let it all just flow. And oh my gosh, our beauty belongs to the gods. I don't know why that's tripping me out so much tonight. It's totally tripping me out. Because you can invoke it. You can invoke it as long as you're not attached to it. Isn't that cool? All right, whatever. Okay, good night. Have a sweet dreams, and get solar on your roof to save the planet. Okay. That's all I'm thinking about these days. Love you, love life, darling. Dance, do the thing you love the most scary, wonderful thing. Oh, that's the other thing. I decided the things that matter to me. I love singing. I'm a singer. I love dancing. I am a dancer now. I am a dancer. And I love solar. I love how it helps the world. So I am succeeding. Just decide the things you love. You are that already. Just decide you're already there. Oh, and I love being in love. So I just figured, okay, I'm in love. But I'm just going to have to be in love with everybody I meet until I have, more, maybe somebody in my life. But yeah, okay. Just get there before you're there. And then you'll have a dance night like I did. That's just outrageous with scents of the gods, sacred scents, henna and coconut, cinnamon and peaches. And I was smelling these smells like musk mixed with sandalwood, and these scents, they will come to you like the feathers of my friend, whose feathers they would waft over the smell around you. And you know what? When he had those feathers that he was healing people with, that smell would get all over his clothes, and he couldn't get it off for days. And I was like, let me just smell your feathers, please. Let me smell your feathers. It was the healing magic gift of the gods. Once again, when the gift comes, you invoke it from the other realm. It belongs to the gods. Your gifts belong to the gods. Just go ahead and accept that you can be in this relationship with the gods. They're listening to you. They will respond. I think offerings do help, though, especially to the ancestors. Okay, much love, darling. Love life. Love life. Good night.